I'd like to call this meeting of the Select Board and Advisory Board to order at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, March 17th. All right, I'll make sure I know what the day is. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show Selectmen Bean is absent, and we don't have to have a quorum of the advisory board because we're not taking any votes tonight. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we are going to need a quorum, so we have 15, correct? So we're going to need 8. We have 5. That's correct.
Can the advisory board members just sign in, please?
Jeff, you're not on the advisory board, right?
No.
Okay, so we have
He's
Jack is.
doing
it at our table.
But I am.
We have 5.
Am I the wrong table too?
Jack is 6.
You cannot sit next to Robert.
Oh, so,
I thought I was free of you tonight.
Go on the other side.
all right, so my intention, our intention tonight is to go through the budget, to look at what is put in by the town
Be
manager.
careful of blocking your wife on the
She's
camera.
gonna go through, or Heidi's gonna go through and explain what the top means, how it's spread out for you, how it's spread out for us. We're gonna go through it, we're gonna take any questions that we have. We will start on Wednesday with doing some voting and sending whatever we wanna send to town meeting. Tonight, we'll take none of those votes, we're just gonna simply go through this and talk about it. Just remember, as always, we try to calculate the tax rate. We've been wrong every single year in this forum. So I mean, we have to give a budget that's going to provide the services that the townspeople want, and we will let the townspeople decide if they want those services at town meeting. Anything I missed or anything? I will turn it over to the town manager to start to explain some of these things and see if we can get some
Okay,
information.
thank you. So I have used the spreadsheet that's been used for the last several years, created by my predecessor. And did you pass one of those to Jet, or did you get one? Okay.
Sure can.
So I've got, on this spreadsheet, I've got 21, 22, 23, and 24 with the expenses. I've got 25 to date, what was budgeted in the yellow column, and what has been spent so far through March 10th. And the column right after the yellow column, the percent of budget change, is the amount that it changed from fiscal 24 to 25. The percent that's in the column after the year-to-date spent is how much of it has been spent so far for fiscal 25. The gray column at the end is the fiscal 26 budgeted amount. And then the budget change percent is from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26. So that's the column headers. Does anybody have any questions about the layout of the spreadsheet? Okay.
Proceed.
All right.
I
So,
think if we take it in sections like we're going to, like general government,
okay.
and then just stop and ask any questions. That goes all the way through, all the way over to where?
Top of page 3.
Top of page 3. Okay, yep.
Okay,
So that totals 854, 581, 20.
that is correct.
Okay.
What it does not include, and what I should have included, it came to me this afternoon, was putting in a budget amount for the revaluation project. So that would go in the tax assessing section. And if we add 50,000 or 100,000 so that we can build up the fund, so that we can do our revaluation, but that's, I blanked on that when I was putting this together.
Okay, you just put that in for Wednesday,
Yep.
just update.
Should we put in 50 or should we put in 75, 100? I mean, we're not voting on it tonight, but just for reference, how much should I put in there?
We gotta vote on that, we have to vote on that. How much do you think? We have 116,000
116 right now.
in our kitty right now. I think it's around 300.
And we're thinking in how many years do we
So we're
even?
at least
2 to 3 years at
2 to
least.
3 years out.
And they're gonna want probably half of it down when we hire them. And they're gonna want, as they go along and get sections done, they're probably gonna give us progress bills.
I would say put 50 in and then we'll decide on Wednesday what we want, what full board does.
Okay.
And maybe put the 50 in, but then just see what it looks like when you put the 75, you know what I mean?
Yep, okay.
75, just so that we can know it on the side.
Okay. Okay, so
Yes.
add 50.
Which line item was that again?
It's gonna be assessing, I think it's probably gonna be an added one. But she'll do this over again for next week, or for Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Yes. And I have Peter Elias and Mary Tomlinson
Well,
on
that actually should go into
capital.
capital.
Okay. I can do
We're gonna
that.
wanna keep it, right?
Oh, yeah.
That
Yes.
should go into capital, that
Okay.
shouldn't be here at all. Should be
Okay,
in
so then that number would stay at 854,
capital. Okay,
and I'll add it to capital.
all right. Okay, so, you wanna give us some highlights here, Town Manager?
Sure. So this year, we're looking at about a 4% increase in wages and benefits. The health insurance is going up 9%. And that started actually in January, right? And we have no control over that. So I've raised the health insurance by 9%. Wait a minute, where is it? Yeah, from 51,000 to 61,000. And then the ICMA match and the Medicare stay stable at 6% for ICMA and 8% for Medicare, FICA. So that's based on the personnel line, 332,150.
I don't see the line though for paid family leave.
I don't have it in there. That's a new one, and I missed it altogether. Paid family leave, thank you. And that is
0.5% of the higher wage on every,
0.05.
How much?
it's 0.5% of everybody's income.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
gross
Per hour, right?
per hour, yeah. Well, no, it's like based on their wage.
so I would have to take the 332 and multiply it by 0.5% to get the town's portion of what would be added there. So I'll get that corrected for Wednesday.
And that's in every department.
Every department, yep, thank you. Thank God you're here. So aside from the paid family medical leave, everything else, we've tried to keep it as close to flat or cut as possible. So I went down in the training, I went down a little bit. A couple of them are a little higher, but most everything is pretty static.
All right, anybody have any questions on government?
I'm just gonna ask it now only because I'll probably carry through for everything else, but, the wages, that was like a 4% increase, is that
Yes.
when everybody, because that's what they're getting, and there's no, okay.
Yep.
And that's probably gonna follow through in every department.
Every department,
correct?
yeah. It just doesn't show a full 4% because I backed off some on the overtime. Because we want to shift to 40 hours a week instead of 8 hours a day in the admin section. And hopefully the library.
I'm only working 2 20-hour days.
We're gonna go to overtime after 40 hours in a week instead of after 8 hours in a day.
Oh, good.
Everybody good? Advisory board, anybody have any questions? All right, so let's move over to,
Oh, wait a minute, Peter Elias has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter. Wait a minute, I can't hear you. Hang on a second. Right there. Okay, try it now, Peter.
we can't hear them. Really? Never happened.
Oh, stop it. Okay, one more time. Try it now, Peter. I don't know.
You can type it in the chat.
One more time.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a miracle.
I'm just curious, does the town pay for both the employee portion and the town's portion of paid family medical leave?
No, we pay for the town's portion, and the employees pick up their portion of that.
So it's 0.5%?
Yes.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Yep. All right, anybody else on administration, anything we have? All right, so let's move to public safety. We have the ambulance, which is,
They went up almost 10%, $2 per capita. The police contract went down a little bit. And then I added the school resource officer as a new line item. And that 40,000 would be for the full fiscal year. That would be our share for the full fiscal year. And then, I'm sorry,
questions on ambulance? Sheriff, remember ambulance, we, as the Board of Selectmen, are members of the ambulance board, and that is simply a per capita that comes from the ambulance board. There's not anything we can go and fight to change it at the board meeting, but for here, they send us a bill. All right, sheriff, school resource officer, and with the, now fire.
and
Yes,
So that $40,000, that, didn't we just vote, you guys just voted on that last week or 2 weeks ago, to take that out of TIP, correct?
for this year.
For 24,
no, for
or
25.
25,
Right,
okay.
right. And it was 20 because it was a half a year.
And
It wasn't a full year.
Right.
it only covered 14,000
Yeah.
of that 20 from TIF.
All right, fire looks pretty tame. Donnie, I'm not talking about capital, just the regular budget.
This is the first time I've seen it, so I don't know.
All right.
We've discussed it, but this is the first time I've seen what the final product is. Can't help you.
So, when I met with Donnie and Danny Bosworth, they asked for some specific items. And so those numbers are in here based on what they wanted. The biggest jump that you may notice is the personnel. And that is because we're going to hopefully raise the stipends for the chief, the assistant chief, deputy chief, the lieutenants, and what was the other one, captains?
Yep.
Yep, the annual stipends, and they're not being raised by much. One of them is $400, the other one's $125. I think Donnie is going from, if this gets approved, it would go from $1,100 a month to $2,200 a month. So,
Is he worth that? No,
No.
no.
Oh, your house is on fire.
Yeah, right. Ain't worth a nickel.
The other one on here would be the SCBA's.
Yes.
What are we replacing there, John?
I'm sorry?
What are we replacing there? The SCBA's have gone from 2,200
We
to
had a 10-year contract when we got the grant for servicing the air packs every year. Every year, a functional test is gonna be done on them. So therefore, this is the last year, so in next year's budget, we've got 22 air packs in the boat station, so those gotta be, the function test's gotta be done on those. So
That's about,
it's about $50 a pop.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so this includes the testing and replacing of some if necessary?
No, that's nothing to do with that. That's just the contract that. And also our Cascade system, that's about $1,000 a year to have that.
That's part of that right there.
Yes,
Yeah,
Cascade and the air bubble.
all right.
Excuse me, the air pack.
Flow test.
Yeah, flow test, yeah.
And we have a new line, extraction equipment, 500.
Yeah, we have, we may purchase our older jaws that we purchased years ago with money raised from the town, those that can no longer service them, they're out of date. So we've been hunting around. Danny found a used set for $7,500, which we may take out of TIF money, I think we talked about. And we also got the battery operated ones that's in Company 2 in their trucks. Every year those gotta be serviced, so that's why that line's in there. It's like
$500.
Right, it's expensive to have them serviced. Each piece of equipment costs so much per piece.
And you know what, replacing old radios and ad pagers.
That
That
line,
went up from 2,000 to 5,000.
I'm not sure why that did that.
That's what you guys presented to me.
Now, let me look at that line, and
Okay, yep.
which line was that?
The radios under fire purchases.
Yeah, it's the next page.
0506,
30 radios,
3505.
radios, radios. I don't think we need that line to go up. It went from 2,000 to what now?
5, it says.
I don't think we need to up it that far. We've been darn lucky. I don't have any used pages right now, as long as I don't hire anybody, as long as the guys, I don't think it needs to go to 5. I don't know why I got that in there.
But how are your radios, Donnie?
Some old, some
Is there some radios there that needs replacing?
yeah, we get by. I think 5,000 is too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you told me to put in there.
Yeah, and I don't know why we did that. I don't know, maybe
It
Dave.
said replace older radios and add pagers. Do you have enough pagers for
I
all your
think where that's coming from, I think Dan's got a few over his way. I think that's where that higher number comes from.
Okay.
I can get an answer for that.
Can you get it to the town manager?
I will,
by
yep.
Tomorrow?
Okay.
That went from 2 to 5, right?
Yep.
I believe it was Dan mentioned the fact that we got a lot of old radios over there. Up to. And that's the
All right.
0505.
Yes, just replace all the radios and add pagers.
Yeah, it's 0505. Yeah, right. And that's what it's all about.
All right, so we have a total in the fire department, 185, 600.
I didn't have a chance to look on, how far did that line go up on the SCBA line? I haven't had a chance to, I know we talked about it, and I think we agreed to
Went
it.
up 5, 2,200 to 5.
20, that should do it,
Should be fine.
yeah, should be.
All right.
We get tax breakdown, and it's ungodly to fix, but it's
That's
terrible.
fixed. All right.
If they come to the fire, they still get it.
Anything else with fire? Okay, public safety under animal control. You like pretty down just a little bit?
That's part of it. We are in the process of recruiting, so hopefully we can find somebody. But, yeah,
Well, honestly, that budget line's gonna go way up, because if you go through that work service that you're in, you're looking at $28 an hour almost compared to 18,
but that's for a limited period of time.
at least 6 months. So that's gonna go in the next fiscal year.
No, I didn't think it was at least 6 months. It was, until we hire that person on our payroll.
Right, but if there's a contract for amount of months that we have to guarantee, it's like so many weeks that we have to pay them. And if we wanna hire them outright, we actually then have to buy out that contract.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't read it that way, but, okay.
So that's gonna increase that line a lot.
So I'll revisit that and try to plug in those numbers. Revisit ACO.
All right, we got a total public safety of $907,597.20, which is up about 7%. And Donnie's gonna get us numbers back for replace the old radios with old pagers.
Yep.
See if we can get a little bit closer. Okay?
Yep.
All right, public utilities, street lights, hydrants, storm drains, waste disposal.
The streetlights and hydrants, I kept as is. It's pretty, if you look at 21, 22, and 23, they're pretty consistent. And in 24, it actually dropped quite a bit. So I'm trying to stay conservative here and not do any addition there, just stay flatline there. The storm drains did go up 25,000 because of the work that the sanitary district did on Main Street, and we had that extra 17,000 plus, I can't remember how much else there was that, you know, we got hit with a bill for. So that's why some of that is built in there. Peter, do you remember how much it was exactly?
It's an extra $17,140-ish.
There was, yeah, the 17,000, and then wasn't there some holdback amount?
There's 20,000 in retainage and probably another 30,000 for paving, so the total is probably around 67.
And is the town gonna get hit with all of that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be next year's total. In that, $70,000 ballpark.
In the fiscal 26 or the fiscal 27?
That would be for this budget year, coming up.
All right, so that one should probably go up another 50,000.
You're ahead on, the town is ahead on paying stormwater services though. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't.
So you've already paid 2024, and that typically doesn't happen until after the town meeting and new budget comes online. So 2025, you would typically pay 2024's bill, but 2024's bill has already mostly been paid, like $75,000 of it.
Yep.
So for whatever reason, the town is ahead on paying stormwater. So if you wanted to hold on paying 2025 maintenance until after the 2026 budget is approved, you could do that. And so the total for 2025 would essentially be the paving and the retainage and the plus the $17,000 carried over from this year. So it could be something more like 70, like what you had last year, 75,000, could be more than that.
But would that include the actual processing of the water through the storm
That's
drains?
all included. So you've already paid 2024,
Okay.
which typically wouldn't happen until after the 2025 budget is approved. I know it's confusing, but you're ahead actually on paying the stormwater bill.
You pay behind. You don't pay ahead, you kind of pay behind.
Okay.
Is what I
All right. So the $75,000 that we paid this year, which is fiscal '25, was for that giant bill that Dale brought in.
Right, but you also paid 2023 this year. Back in, I don't know when we received that payment, I don't have it in front of me yet.
Okay.
So I know it's a little confusing, because there's always a lag. So 2023 let's say in 2022, we produced a bill at the end of the year. We gave you that bill, and then that bill would have been paid after the 2023 budget was approved. They would have been paying 2022. And the same would hold true for 2023. The 2023 budget, the 2023 bill would have been paid in year 2024's budget. But over the last year, there were two payments that actually more than cost the town up, except for that $17,000 that came out there for the stormwater project.
Okay, so should we just stay at the 75,000 then?
You could, and pay off the retainage, the paving, which hasn't been bid out yet, and the $1,000, and that would put you around $67-ish thousand. If you guess, because the paving isn't going yet.
Right.
I know it's confusing.
All right.
It's confusing because there's always this year, there's always a lag. You're always paying last year's bill with the following budget.
Okay. All right.
Peter, is that something you can work with Dale, to see if we can get a closer number, because we want to try to get as close as we can, and if 100,000 will do it, then we'll leave that there.
The 100,000 will do it.
Okay, but I mean,
The
is that,
100,000
Like he said, it's way
will
over.
do it.
so is that way too much?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, it said 75.
But they're not,
It could be too much, or you could pay some of the current bill ahead of time,
We don't
making
want-
next year's budget.
we don't know.
a
okay,
little
we just want to make sure we have enough to pay for what we're supposed to, and we don't know what the paving is going to be, correct?
It's estimated to be around 30,000.
Okay.
So it's 30,000 for paving, approximately,
Yep,
20,000 for retainage, and $17,140 carried over from this past year's stormwater project.
so if we go with 75, we'll be in good shape.
You would be in good shape, yeah, and you would sort of be back on track to pay
Okay,
last year's bill in the next year's budget. So the 2025 maintenance would be paid in 2026's budget.
okay.
And that's kind of how it's been done for the past, I don't know, couple decades.
All right, that sounds good, Peter, thank you.
Okay. So I'll adjust that down to 75 before Wednesday.
All right,
I know
so,
it's confusing, it is confusing.
I just have a quick question. Jeff, the new lights that are in, is that gonna save us any money?
The new
ones-
what?
The new lights that they put in,
The traffic lights.
the traffic lights?
I wouldn't think so,
No?
no.
not solar or anything, huh?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, anything else on this public utilities? All right, highway. Mr. Road Commissioner, you wanna?
No, everything stayed pretty close to the same, other than the wages, as Denise had stated, gone up 4%. Tried to keep everything down as much as I could. I do have a question on the plowing for the East Madison Fire Station. So what happened this year, Dan Bosworth decided that he didn't want to plow that anymore. So we put it out to bid for a local contractor, and he agreed to do it for $125 per storm, up to 4 inches the first time. Anytime after 4 inches, it's another $125. The fire department had $500 in their account, which, that's what Dan did it for. I have not received a bill from that gentleman, have you?
I'm not.
I've called him multiple times, so
What's the name of the company?
Chris Roy.
Roy.
Oh, it's Chris, all right.
Uh, Have not received anything, so I'm not really exactly sure of the number. I know Denise and I have spoke of where to put that. Do we want to leave that number right in fire, or do we want to move that over to highway and increase the plowing line, the plowing contract for solar? town
Yeah,
of Solon plowed 1,700 feet of one of our roads on the South Solon Median House Road. The fact of the reason is, there's no turnaround on that road for a truck to turn around. So it's easier for them to come to Route 43 and turn around on that 1,700 feet. So obviously that number is $2,900 for the last couple of years.
That's the contracted circle right there, okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's on the very bottom.
Yep.
So I guess the question would be, do we want to put X amount of dollars back in the plow fire line, or do we want to add to that Solon line?
So that's just basically gonna be a guess for us.
yeah.
Pardon?
That's basically gonna be a guess for us.
Pretty much.
New word.
I mean, normally we, on the average, run basically around 20 storms per year. So, of course, every 4 inches matters. So you get an 8-inch storm, it's twice he's gonna plow. We do the sanding when the truck is over there after the cleanup of the storm. That did save a little bit, so he wouldn't have to send the sand truck over there.
Right, so
I-
I guess I'll ask you to get to the town manager what you think is a reasonable amount to put in there. And
Okay.
We'll add it to that, we'll just change it to contract plowing Solon plus the fire department, East Madison Fire Department.
Okay?
Just get to her what you think is reasonable. I mean, anybody okay with that? I mean, really, you can't measure on this winter because we didn't have a storm that was probably much more than 4 inches.
No, but, you know, I'm sure he's probably been over there at least 15, 18 times anyways. 'Cause a couple of them storms were just ice and rain storms, and sand with it, but, hit or miss.
Do you want to reach out to Chris Roy, or do you want me to reach out to Chris Roy?
No, I can give him a call in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll get that to her before.
Yes, I'll take care of it in the morning.
All right, anything else?
Uh,
I know we're not to capital, we'll talk about that later. but-
yeah, I don't believe it. Does anybody have any other questions?
What about the signs? We were talking about the signs, and if we're going to put the crosswalk signs either in the highway, under the highway signs line, or under like Parks and Recreation.
Well, I guess that's up to the board, what they want to do for a sign. So we have, the crosswalk sign up front of junior high is the only sign that the town actually owns that's on the DOT road. The ones at the end of the Russell Road and the ones at the end of the Ward Hill Road are owned and maintained by the DOT. The one down in front of the mill, that is theirs, they maintain and own that. So there is the crosswalk sign at the junior high and the big sign at the playground. So do we want to start a separate line for signs, electronic signs?
Well, the electronic sign is something totally different. I'm only talking about the pedestrian crossing signs.
Okay?
Yeah, the electronic, the message sign is something totally different.
So the crosswalk sign is going to be $8,000 to repair, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago. They said they will hold that price, providing things don't change, you know, money-wise. So do we want to add that, a sign line, electronic sign line in the highway budget, or do we want to put that under a different, like under Parks and Recreation or something else?
I think we put it right in the highway and add money to it. I mean, we're not gonna expect you to put it in and cover it, I don't think.
Well, no, we put extra in, but you're kind of responsible in a way for the sign part anyways, am I right?
Well, yeah, that's
You have
ours.
somebody to oversee
That
it.
is the town's, right, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think
so probably if we just put it in highway budget, but add money to it, just because you're already responsible in a way for it
Yeah.
anyways.
Do you want to go just with the 8,000, or do you want to build up a little bit of extra just in case there's an increase in cost to any of the parts? The labor, I think they're standard, they're going to stick with the labor costs that they estimated.
Yes, the total cost of the job was around $8,000.
Yeah, the only difference would be if the parts or the equipment has a higher price than what it does today.
So does the school contribute anything to that? It's there for the school.
To the crosswalk?
Yeah.
Not today for the
No.
crosswalk. No.
Well, I mean, it's not in the middle of Main Street, you know, by Rainey's or something. I was just curious if the school contributed to the maintenance.
Not to that.
No.
Not to that, no.
Thank you.
We could ask.
I-
It's gonna come out of the
It's
same
coming
pocket.
out of
So what happens,
different pockets,
And
same.
by 4 o'clock, they pull them out of Waterbury, you have them next day.
What do you think, though? I mean, should we go 9,000?
I would go 9,000. I don't have a problem with putting it, a separate line in the budget for, or add it to the sign budget. I think there's $3,000 in there for just regular street signs.
Yeah.
I mean, we can increase that budget as long as we remember what that number was for. You know, and there again, you know, that's gonna be a one-time thing. I mean, it's not gonna be every year.
Right.
You know, possibly next year we can knock that down.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, once you get it fixed, you're gonna,
Right, correct. You're not gonna need that amount every year.
that's how old? What's the system now is,
Pardon?
the system there now is 10 years old?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, and we've replaced the batteries in it a couple times, and just the controller is what's down and out right now, and it's obsolete.
All right. I mean, we've been lucky because we have the school resource officer who's there in the morning. So that is going down, so, but he's been there every morning, so it really has worked out fine, and he's there, but who knows, he's gonna be able to be there every morning.
Yeah.
Also, you got afternoon people crossing, you got all kinds of stuff like that.
Summertime.
Summertime, so I think it's important to get it fixed.
Okay. All right, so I'll add that.
That's $8,000.
I know, we're adding.
All right.
Yeah, I knew this stuff.
He's gonna add it.
9,000 plus 3,000, yes, that would go to 12.
That sign, I thought it was budget.
All right.
Any other questions on your public works?
You're sure there's no more snowstorms, right, Joe?
Yeah, today,
What's that?
tonight.
All right, nothing tonight?
Terrible.
All right. Okay, so let's move over to Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, you're gonna notice that you have 2 page 6s and 2 page 7s. I had a significant error in my calculation. I thought I had checked them all once I moved certain lines up and down. The programs line is not $133,060, and the total line is not $316,000. So look at the corrected page, and you'll see that the second page 6 is the one you're looking for. It's inserted into your packet. Sorry, Danny called me and he was in a total panic. So the programs line should only show as $28,660. And the total Parks and Recreation budget is $212,485. And that is combining many of the aspects from town-owned property, which is the 40 category, with Parks and Recreation, so that the director is going to take responsibility for making sure things are happening in those places. Nathan Street Boat Landing, Orton Playground, Main Street Playground, Thomas Street Field, the ice rink, all of that stuff is moved out of town-owned property into Parks and Recreation. Okay? So that's why you see the numbers, the bottom line on that is that between, what I did was, I took everything that had been paid in town-owned property in the past and moved it into the Parks and Recreation area, so that you could see, this is what we spent on it before, while it was under town-owned property. And those are the account lines that start with the 40 instead of the 20. Okay, so for instance, you have, let me go up to personnel services. You have 3 lines. You have the Preble Avenue fields, you have the regular Parks and Recreation line, and then you had the Main Street Playground personnel, which was under 40, town-owned property. Those have all been combined into one line item. And the same under FICA. All those 3 lines have been combined into one item. And then under the parks section, so that we don't have 4 lines, we're gonna have 1 line for electricity, 1 line for building maintenance, 1 line for grounds maintenance. Okay? And, you know, if you have, let's go back to the personnel services for a minute. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that Danny has the resources he needs to make the Parks and Recreation program grow and include additional services for all ages, not just for the students that are doing like recreation sports. So some of the things that they've been doing, he's already working with Cheyenne on some living well pieces, you know, and we need to give him those resources in order to do that. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to make him a salary position instead of a hourly position. Because with all the things that he's doing, he could be going overtime in a heartbeat. And that would be costing us a fortune.
You talked to him about that?
He's actually the one that brought it to me.
Okay.
So, you know, we've had many discussions about it, and including Heidi, just to kind of say, how can we get this under control? We know that we want you to be a salary person. That means bumping it up. Instead of giving him $23 an hour, we're gonna bump it up to a certain dollar amount for his position. And then if he wants to spend 72 hours a week on recreation things, you know, God love him, I don't think he will, but, you know, then he's not gonna run the risk of spending a ton of money on overtime. And I think when we first went down this road a year ago, we kind of had the suspicion that we were gonna go in this direction. Yes, Chairman Venziano definitely had that suspicion.
He said do it from the start, but
Yeah.
it was not what everybody wanted to do, so we kind of roll with it. I just don't think with the number of hours that you're expecting this person to put in, that if we start paying overtime, we'll never be able to afford it. And so he's gotta take time off once he gets to a certain level. So, I mean, we want him to be there, at least in the infancy of this. If we're gonna grow this at all, we gotta have somebody that's going to be there.
My concern is I don't want him to burn out though, trying to spread, especially now with all the town-owned properties being added to his
He's young.
plate. Well, he's young, but if we're expecting to have him actually develop a program and then execute the program and oversee all the programs, that's my only concern
That's
is
going to be his job to find people to help him execute that.
Yeah.
Execute that plan. And there are plenty of people out there. It's his job to figure out who can help and who can be of service and get things done, in my opinion.
How many hours a week does he work now?
He intentionally keeps it at 40.
Last football season,
He was over.
a lot.
We had to stop, we had to slow him down.
We had to.
Way too much.
But, you know, he's being very intentional now, and if he knows that he's gonna have games on Sunday, then he won't work a full day on Friday. or he won't, spend 8 hours on Thursday. He'll manage, he's managing his time.
So are those other positions that Al is talking about, him finding people to help, that's not all volunteer, that,
Some of it's volunteer, some of it's Devin, the guy that takes care of the Preble Avenue fields. Some of it is his summer recreation staff.
One thing would be, Julie, if he is opening the gym up at the middle school on Sunday nights.
right,
So instead of him going and opening it, if you wanted to play, you could go do that. He'd find somebody to man that, to be responsible. And so that doesn't, we don't have to pay him for hours, that somebody else could man that. If he has 10 guys going there and 2 of them are responsible, then he can get them to open it up every week, sort of thing. But it just can't be everywhere, as you know.
right. And volunteers aren't paid, and we
Right.
get what we pay for. I'm sure somebody unlocking a door at a gym because they want to dribble a basketball, that's gonna work.
Didn't we go through this up to the high school quite a few years ago?
Everyone had a key?
Exactly.
Well, no, I think he has the key. I mean, he has the key, and he opens it, and I think somebody stay, but, I think he plays, so he's been staying. I can't really speak for him, and I'm gonna stop speaking for him. We'll have him come next time.
He is gonna be
Go over it.
here Wednesday night, he's at a conference tonight, so.
Yeah, but a lot of these towns, they're charging $25 an hour to use these fields. If we're gonna keep going up like this, we're gonna do something different.
Well, we're not, well, the school is, the gym is the schools. And you're
Yeah.
right, the Preble Avenue, yes, some of them are.
If you got a little league team, they're being charged $25 an hour.
I won't go along with that, but,
Well, that's what's happening out there. Read the
well, I
papers.
know one town that does it, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen any others.
Because this is,
I haven't seen any others.
Well, I would just like to see him be able to develop programming for somebody besides the children. Programming for children is fantastic. The whole point of having a full-time person was that the other half of the town that's over 50 years old that wants to participate in something sports has a sports program. So I don't want to, but there are people like Kathy that like to skydive and do all kinds of things, and they might want to participate in these programs when they can be developed. And if he's running around like a crazy person because he can't find volunteers, which he may find some, it is very hard.
Well, I know there has been some frustration because, like, even the basketball on Sunday afternoons at the elementary school, the volunteer backs out and he ends up having to go and cover it because he's trying to make it so that people aren't disappointed that it's not happening and stuff. So that ends up being overtime because he's already worked his 40 hours. So in that case, yes, but volunteers are hard to rely on.
All right, any other questions? Recreation?
But Denise, I have a question.
Yes.
What are you proposing? Are you proposing a different salary than you have now?
Yes. No, and I don't have that number with me, sorry. Well, wait a minute, give me just a second. I do have it, I brought my book with me.
So if we go up to what is recommended, what is required by the state, it has to be at least $45,000 and change for a salary, base salary position. The $59,000 that the state, that the federal government was instituting was actually put on the back burner because of a judge in Texas fighting it. So they put that on hold for now. So right now the base is $45,000.
And his hourly rate times the normal 80 hours in a year, his base rate right now is $47,840 for if he went to salary as is. I'm proposing that we bring that up to at least $55,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I don't know, some days I only make $12 an hour.
All right, so, any questions on that? All right, moving on.
$10.
Cemeteries. Nothing new there.
Cemeteries, I've got, no, nothing new. The cemetery committee has reconvened and reestablished. We need, the background noise is disturbing to the people that are online, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. So we went up 1% in cemeteries. It's basically $500.
They're gonna get us what we need to be.
Well, this doesn't include the capital to do any repairs and maintenance. This is just mowing. And we have a mowing contract that we're gonna, a mowing RFP that we're gonna put out. So that number may, well, the mowing contract will go start January 1st.
This budget is gotta include the budget contracts for 26 and 27.
Right, because the changes will start in January of '26.
Correct.
We're at the end of our 3-year contract.
Yes.
We really need to get that.
We've been 3. It's being changed to 2, I guess.
We need to talk about that. We can get, we'll need to talk about that RFP then at the next meeting.
Yes. At the next budget meeting?
No, next
Selectmen meeting,
Yeah.
okay.
We haven't talked about that yet. I didn't realize that was up. I thought there was one more year.
It is one more year as far as like this summer is included in this year's budget.
Yeah.
This budget is half of 26 into 27. So we need the new contracts for that fiscal year to make these numbers correct. Because if, I'm sure all the mowing contracts are gonna go up.
Right, that won't be until you,
January, or
January to June of fiscal '26. January to June
Right,
of
so you're
2026.
mowing in May. I'd say just May and June.
They opened the cemeteries in April. I only know that because Bobby
Right.
does the janitorial at the library. And he starts spring cleanup in April as soon as he can get into the library.
Right,
So April, May, and June, but then you've got all of July, August, whatever.
right, that comes
That's the
in next year.
leftover
That
stuff,
comes
but
in
you
next
have
year's
that
budget.
little piece. You have to have the contract in place. That's what I think you're saying.
Yeah, we've already done that in the past.
Tim has always put them out in January of every year, the year prior to them being out, is what I was told.
Okay, so we need to get that out.
Yep.
We might have to just kind of figure it.
I have it all done, it just needs to be approved.
Good.
So that's the only changes we have to cemetery, right? It's just the mowing?
Yes.
Because the other, would it come under capital, the other one, for the repairs and maintenance, okay?
Yeah, because we're gonna,
And the software,
the software, we're gonna put under
capital,
capital.
or tip, no,
It'll be out of our
perpetual.
perpetual fund.
Okay.
Okay. Community services.
What about the library?
Oh, did I skip the library?
Yep.
Apologize.
Oh, then we're all set then. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
What about the library, Julie? Anything new?
Nope, well, we have very few lines that change that are discretionary. We have to heat, we have to have water, sewer. I talked with Denise, a year or so ago, Kathy Estes asked me when I was talking about feeling like I was underpaid for the position, she said, do you feel like you're worth that money? And she was saying it facetiously because I was feeling like, well, you know, sometimes you just have these crumbs thrown to you. And I said, well, yes, of course I do. I've been there a long time. So when I spoke with Denise, I said I would like a little bit more than the 4%. I'd like to go from 25 to 27. I'm assuming that's included in it.
Yep.
I don't want it to just be absorbed in that line and have people say, why is it 6.82 for,
Yeah, I
that's
believe I
why.
did build
It's
that
4% for, it's 4% for my 2 part-time people. It's an extra $2 an hour for me. The subs stay at, minimum wage. Their wage changes halfway through the year, so I think Heidi adjusts for that. So when we have our new budget in July, they'll stay where they're at. And then in January, on January 1, their pay will change, you know, according to whatever the minimum wage is at that time. We haven't asked for anything different. Heidi's and Denise and I have been talking about changing the fuel because it was brought to my attention because I can't pay the bill for the fuel in my warrant because they will always charge us late fees. So the fuel bill has been charged out to our line, our fuel line, but it's always included in the first warrant of the month. But what's been happening, and unbeknownst to me, and I probably wouldn't have picked up on it anyway, for every $1 of fuel that we buy, there's a $1 delivery fee, or approximately. So 1 month, we paid $800 for fuel and $800 for delivery. And it's in the pipe in front of the library. So we're trying to work out, I think, Heidi, did you say they're coming tomorrow to look and assess? To see if we can have propane through Bob's Cash Fuel. It is gonna save us thousands of dollars. I don't know exactly how many thousands, but more than, I would say, 3,000. So we appreciate that, and they're local, and if it works, great. The trustees, I brought this to their attention, and they said very frankly, we didn't want to change from oil to gas, and the previous town manager said, we'd like to do that, and they said, cool, go ahead and do that. Use administration money, don't use library money, or don't ask for library trust fund money. So the same is true now. We're actually working on a ramp project. Cheyenne and I have, she did most of the legwork. I offered some numbers, and actually Jonathan Burrows, who's on the building committee, offered the numbers. He tracked those numbers down. They're just ballpark for replacing the bridge part of the ramp. We applied for a $25,000 grant through AARP, flagship grant. We hope to get it. We'll have to have some more numbers to go with that for capital. I don't have those numbers because that's part of what the building committee is doing. And so that would come under capital. If we don't get the grant, then we're gonna have to add 25 to it. But the ramp is 40 years old, 41 years old. It is concrete and rebar. You can see the rebar underneath. It's fallen down and been declared unsafe. And so we're doing our best to get it ADA compliant, as every town building is required to be. So, other than that,
Thank you, Jim.
I think we're good.
All right.
Anybody have any questions?
Pretty good.
All right.
For the record, you are worth it.
Well, thank you. I tell myself that every day. Sometimes I believe it.
All right, community programs. Questions, anything?
Well, you'll notice that there's nothing under Sea Cadets this year because they have disbanded. All the other numbers I left static. And I dropped the recycle from 5,000 to 1,000. We were not able to get the committee running yet, so we still, I want to leave some resources there, but we don't need all of that. So we dropped it a little bit there. So you'll see there's almost a 10% reduction in that section.
Questions, anybody? The food cupboard, is any, did they send us in a request on the 16.5, or we're just going with what we've done in the past?
What we've done in the past, I have not gotten a new request from them, other than to say they're looking for more if we can give them more.
It's really everybody.
All right. All right, so let's look at the GA accounts here, which are astronomical.
Yes. It's been a hard year for people, and I don't know why specifically this year has been so hard. But people are having trouble getting enough fuel assistance. The fuel assistance program was scheduled way out until March and April. And so people over the winter time were not able to get their fuel assistance from the state in a timely manner, so we had to help them out in that regard. There's a lot of, the rent, we've paid twice as much in rent that we budgeted for. Now, we get 70% back on everything that we spend on GA. So if we spend $30,000 in GA, we'll get 70% of that back. So 21,000 will come back from the state. And we've gotten, everything up through January has been reimbursed. So February is the only month that's outstanding right now, and we're waiting, I think, about $4,800 for the January payment. Other than that, it's all been reimbursed.
That all heads to revenue.
That, what comes in from GA from the state goes into the revenue account. Yeah.
So are we comfortable with the GA? I mean, how do you anything?
Honestly, it's, if you want my personal opinion, I think we are a little too lenient with GI this year. I don't think we're actually following the guidelines of the state mandates, and we're not getting the receipts and the documents we need to make sure that the people who are getting GA are actually qualified for GA. And I don't mean to bring this up, but it's quite a substantial amount, and I know a lot of them are repeat people that are not bringing in their documents when they're coming in.
We certainly want their documents to come in. I mean,
That's part of the requirements.
it's part of the requirements. We can't give it up without it.
Right, that's part of,
So
and if they can't produce it, then that's on them, and they know it. Especially the repeat people, they know it.
Are you saying we need to be more stern? Well, the thing is, the flow's gotta go both ways. We don't have a document, we don't get, we can't give out freebies.
We have, right, we have guidelines to follow, they need to follow them, and if they don't produce what they need to produce,
Nothing moves.
that's on them,
That's
exactly.
right, that's right.
So I'd like to see us stick to that if we, I mean, I don't think we have a choice in that matter. Here, moving forward, I think we have to.
that's what I'm saying, so that number is quite high for next year, but it probably shouldn't be.
Most of them repeat.
There's a couple that are repeats, but the majority of them are one-time, first-timers.
I'm gonna say as a kid whose parents had to have welfare, in order to get general assistance, if I'm not mistaken, you have to go through the state programs and be refused for certain things before you can apply for general assistance. And you don't get through the state programs if you don't have your paperwork. So if they've gotten through the state programs, like I can't get food stamps, I can't get utility assistance, I can't get fuel assistance. I have people coming in the library, and I'm grateful for them. They come in, they need photocopies, we make the photocopies, they pay their 25 cents or whatever, but they come in because at certain times of the year, because they have to have their paperwork so they can apply for fuel assistance. And it stinks because fuel is very expensive, but also depending on how much is allotted at the federal level, you might get, when I was a kid, maybe you could get almost all the way through the winter on your fuel assistance, so you had a chance to save up for February and March and April. But you might only get the equivalent of 200 gallons of oil for all of your fuel assistance. So the need is there, but they have to have their paperwork for other programs. So it's not an unusual request to ask them to make sure they have it.
Peter Elias has a question.
Mr. Elias?
Thank you. Heidi, do you have a notion of whether, if people had this paperwork, would this number be higher?
What number, the number for this year?
Yeah, is that enough? If,
No,
let's say
it would,
people were-
no, there'd be a, in my personal opinion, if we were getting the documents required and following through with how the state sets it up, that number would not be that high. Because a lot of people would not qualify because they're not bringing in their receipts, they're not bringing in their required documents.
Shame on us.
And if they did, if you don't think that 31,000 would be underfunded?
Meaning that when you look at the last 4 years, even through COVID, we had basically 15.6, 15.8, 18, 17, 21, and now we are actually over $50,000 right now. As of the last warrant.
And rent assistance is a big one.
Yep.
Do you think there's pressure for that to be more?
You mean for people asking for more?
Yeah, as far as rent assistance goes. So that's the big one, let's face it.
I mean, yes, people are asking for rent, but I also think when the word gets around that we're giving money and it's not being restricted in any shape or form, then people will keep coming back or will send their friends. Word gets around.
Is there a different way to manage that, sort of like, so I guess I don't know what's involved in getting that assistance.
It's a lot of work. I mean, GA is not easy. It used to fall under my department, and then it went over to Denise's, and Cheyenne recently just started helping and sitting in.
I'm
Let me say
curious,
it a different way. If people are actively trying to get that assistance, getting their paperwork together, that number, 20,000, would be enough.
I would assume that there would be a number of people that would be turned away.
But the 20,000 would be enough, is what he's asking.
Yeah.
is there a way to cap how high you get?
No.
You have to reimburse what they're asking for.
No matter what, you have to provide, even if you go over your budget, the state requires you that you have to keep paying GA, even if it comes out of your own pocket.
Okay.
There is no cap.
They can do this more than once?
Every time they come back, it's supposed to be more and more restricted.
Oh, I see, okay.
So basically, anybody that's going to look for assistance, when they go for assistance, they should be, when they go to like get their WIC or go for even a fuel assistance or anything like that, they have to provide everything. They have to provide bank information, they have to provide any kind of wage, they have to, anything they're getting from any other organization has to be claimed. And that's the same thing with us. We should be doing that.
So you're at 32,000 this year so far?
Yes.
For rent.
Yeah, for rent.
And you think that 20,000 is enough for next year?
What Heidi's saying is if we
Yeah, thanks.
straighten or strengthen the requirements, that yes, 20,000 should be enough.
And we may go over, I'm not saying that we won't, But just looking from the past numbers and crunching, we have been giving out a lot this year. With, in my opinion, more of a lenient choice.
All right, so we're gonna tighten that up a little bit. We can talk again about what that should be. Because if you don't use it, you don't, it goes back in the black hole, it becomes part of a designated fund. But we can see if we can get that a little bit closer. All right, any other questions? But our intention is to make sure that we are following the guidelines that are set up and all paperwork is brought in. I would say that would be my thoughts on that.
I mean, we don't give them money until they show their paperwork, right? Okay.
All right, service organizations.
Senior Citizen Spectrum Humane Society and Hospice Volunteers, those are all the same. They haven't, sorry. The Humane Society went up, and they go up January to December. So what we budgeted for fiscal '25 is gonna go over a little bit because we've only paid one of the 2 payments so far. The other payment of $5,900 is gonna take it over to $11,800 for the year. So that's why I'm going up to $12,500 for next fiscal year, so that we can account for the increase that we get charged from the Humane Society.
They sent us a contract or something.
Yes.
Right, but you haven't received it
Not-
yet. This is in
not-
anticipation.
Well, they sent us a contract in like September, or October
Yeah.
for the next calendar year. So right now, we're fiscal '25, we had one payment at $5,900 for the last half of July to December on 2024. We haven't got their bill yet for the second one, which is gonna be higher than the $5,900. So, because that's part of the new contract for calendar year '25. And then when they send us in September, October, the calendar year contract for '26, it's gonna, I expect it's gonna be higher again.
All right, I know Mr. Butler was instrumental in literacy volunteers, have we not?
We haven't had any need for that. I've been working with a young man, and I know Julie, we talked about it there a few days ago, and I don't anticipate needing any of that.
Okay.
And
You're easy, Mr. Butler.
But I think, I recommended that he leave it in the budget every year, because if he has different clients, they may not have the same financial resources. So you give him $150, if he doesn't submit any receipts, he doesn't get any reimbursement. But if he has different clientele, if he's helping different people,
I'm just afraid it's not, I'm afraid, I'm kind of leaning towards what Julie's saying, because if it's out and you gotta come back and give that speech again that you gave to start it up,
Yeah.
I mean,
he happens to have a client whose family has financial resources, but that may not always be the case. It's only $150.
Right.
All right,
I'd
I'll
like
put
to
it back
put
in.
that back in.
All right, will do.
Yeah, Dick.
thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Richard.
You have some good things.
All right, town-owned property.
Good board, my own.
Town property is going to consist of the Old Point Avenue building and the communications tower, mowing the town sign at the town property line with Skowhegan, and the East Madison boat landing. Everything else has been moved to Parks and Recreation.
And with what was budgeted last year, right? That was moved, everything was moved.
Yes, yep, all of those lines. There was an expense to the communication building this year. We had to put a new roof on it. Is that right, Donnie?
Yep.
A new roof on the building at the communication tower because it was leaking and we were worried about all of the equipment that was inside and everything else, so.
So that $1,000 is for what?
That $1,000, I think, was what we spent for the roof.
It's out in the 26 budget.
I put $1,000 in for the 26 budget in case we have any other repairs and maintenance that we gotta do. We had not ever budgeted anything for that. So,
See any reason for that, John?
I've asked and asked and asked and asked and asked, and nothing's ever been done. All that stuff up there costs money to replace, and it's getting old. We need to have money in there for that.
It's it?
$1,000 is,
Okay,
with all the rental money come in, I went way back when Tim was involved. All the rental money that's coming in ought to go in a separate account. And then if we need a new repeater, which is $3,000 or $4,000, or the tower needs work, then we have no money in that account.
So what is that money going to?
I have in the black hole.
That basically what it's doing? Okay, can you,
it's not going into a black hole, it's going into a revenue account for the tower rental. But that revenue goes into the general fund. What we could do is we could assign that revenue to a specific tower fund on the
Probably
general
should.
ledger side.
we probably should. Is that something that takes a selectmen's vote? We can do it at the next meeting, so put that on there and we can do that. How much comes in for that rental?
It's not a lot. But,
Well, this is what we've been trying, Dan has been trying since the fall to get together, because we have a lot of equipment in there that isn't even ours. And a lot of the county and everything pays other towns, and he just sent me an email tonight, and
Yes.
it's in regards to, like the ambulance service pays Anson for their use of their tower, but we get nothing. The county pays all the other towns around us, but we get nothing. So there's other ways of getting rental income if we just solicit it and go after it. But
We need to.
Dan has done most of the legwork, he's found what everybody pays, he's provided us with a lot, it's just a matter of sitting down and actually making up those letters and following it through.
Let's do it.
I think just, get your figures together and bring it to us. We'll do something about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, Dan has been trying, so,
Sure.
and Don's.
I think if we create that account, that's right. I mean, that thing blows up, we're gonna be in hot water here. There's probably thousands of dollars in there, I would
Yeah,
say.
there is.
Well, we actually had the lightning strike this summer, and our PNC had to pick up the bill, which thankfully it did. We had to pay $1,000, but it was over $3,500,
Good.
so.
All right. Okay. Mowing town sign, the same.
Yep.
East Madison boat landing,
I went up a little bit on that because we're already at 97%, and we still have, 3.5 months in the year. And that is,
is that repairs for that?
that's just the porta potties.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
That's $145 a month.
Taking us to the end of this thing. So let's look at capital. Highway, Mr. Road Commissioner,
Yes, they have a,
we want to take a 5-minute break and
Yeah, let's do that, and there's food over there.
we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
5 minutes?
6 minutes.
Sorry, quick.
Order, we're going to move on to capital. It looks like our road commissioner takes up quite a few of these, so we'll let him go.
Go ahead and bang your gavel.
Okay, here we go. I haven't doubled anybody down for a long time, Mr. Sean. Maybe Mr. Denico years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the days.
Yeah, now I don't have to eat right at home.
Mr. Road Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
anything you wanna fill us in on?
Well, I have down here for another machine that will mow roadsides, which we had difficulty getting anybody to do roadsides last year. As you know, the weeds and the grass got high on the side of the road. And the previous road commissioner had tried, and he had no luck. And when I came on board, I called a few people, and no takers. Just nobody's doing it anymore. So there's an equipment dealer that has a machine that has a flail head on it, and it also acts as a sidewalk machine in the wintertime for dual purpose, and it has a sander on it and a plow. Just it's twice the size of the one that we have now. If you recall that we had bought that machine to replace two machines 4 years ago. So we're gonna keep that machine, and we'd like to purchase this machine. And that will get our roadsides taken care of. And right now, he has to make 2 trips out with the machine that we have now. He has to salt, plow, and then he has to go back out and salt. So he's basically double tracking. This machine here, I don't know if you guys have seen the one the town of Norwalk has just bought. They purchased one last fall, and they really like it. It's a nice machine. The price there is a little on the high side. We do have $25,000 left in that capital line from last year, Denise. We was
Not in the capital line, in the equipment rental.
equipment rental line.
Yep.
That was supposed to go on for a purchase for a trailer to move an excavator. That never transpired. Is that something that we could move toward the purchase of that?
That would be a carry forward.
That would be a carry forward. So I'm bringing it up.
Can we pay it out before the end of the year?
We can. I've been working with the dealership. He indicated to me where this machine is, they only have a few of them, and he has one right now. Pending where we are on this after tomorrow night, they would be willing to hold that for us. I don't believe that if he would turn down a down payment towards it, pending town meeting with the option of possibly, getting that money back if it does not fly at town meeting.
So do you check with him on that?
Yeah, I
just
will.
can go along with that. I mean, I can't carry over because we've already gone through that mess.
Yeah.
And we're not going there again. So, I would check with him and see if he'll accept that and with the stipulations that you mentioned.
Yep.
And we can talk about it on, next time we meet, talk about budget.
On
Yeah.
Wednesday.
How much more, I mean, so this year we could reduce by 25?
We could reduce that by 25. The quote is, that is a little higher than the quote, so there's a good possibility I'll get that narrowed down for a better number.
Okay. So if you could do that and tell them that we would give them the 25
Okay.
down payment and go from there. As long as we can get it back, we don't buy it. It doesn't pass town meeting.
Correct. Just an update on the excavator. I know there's been discussion in years past about putting, an excavator. That excavator that we have now, obviously is old. You guys heard all the do's and don'ts about it. I'd like to put that on hold. If I do need to have an excavator, I've got a line on one from Eagle Rental for X amount of dollars per month or week if needed, which was a municipal discount price, which is a fairly good price. So if I need to have that excavator, I can just take that out of my rental line when I get my ditching done, and we'll keep the other excavator running as long as we can.
All right, and culverts. Just regular maintenance?
Yeah, just regular maintenance on culverts. I have purchased some stuff through KV Cog, through their grant program, through their grant joint purchase program. And we should be all good on that. We have quite a supply up there from last year also.
What about our road surface management?
Road surface management, the roads that I would like to get paved with that number are the Tower Road and the Business Park Road. And I would like to look into paving the Davis Road over off in the Grange Road. It's 2,200 feet, I believe it is. It's a dirt road right now. I don't know how you guys feel about that. It's just an idea. I put that in there, so toss that around at town meeting.
Is there a reason?
There's a reason. Well, it's just like all these dirt roads, you know, Kincaid Road's the same way. The people have been moving out there, building nice homes. They are dirt roads. I've had requests to pave all of them, of course, Trolley on Drive. You know, there are nice homes up there. People want paved roads. We paved quite a few gravel roads a long time ago. A lot of the gravel roads in town have gotten paved over the years, and we just stopped because we had gotten behind on our paved roads. So those are the roads that I'd like to get done with the road surface management. And if you guys recall back this fall, there was some ARPA money that was left over. What we agreed on were Spruce Street, Myrtle Street, and the lower part of Weston Avenue from about where Rodney Kilkenny lives down to the end of pavement, or actually to the top of the hill, I'm sorry, where Mr. Noyes lives.
So going back to the Davis Road, is that something you talked to the residents about on that?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I was waiting to see what everybody's idea was tonight and suggestions. I will go out or send a letter out to see what the residents think. I know it was the same way with the Bagley Road years ago. Half of them wanted to pave, half of them didn't.
I think that's the same as the Davis Road, right? Because I've had people come to me about paving it, I've had people come to me about not paving it.
On the Davis Road or Bagley Road?
Kincaid.
On the Kincaid. I wouldn't pave the whole road, I'd just pave to the top of both hills probably.
That's another time, right?
Yeah, like I said, I would just do a section at a time. I wouldn't go down through the wet area anyways. I'd just go.
I think it'd be a good idea to check with the Davis Road residents, see
Okay.
what they think, and kind of get an idea of what, and if we have the money for it,
Yep.
we'll make a decision on that. All right, thank you. Sidewalks, what are we looking at that?
They're gonna be doing an overlay project from Route 201 into Madison here to the traffic light. There is some stuff that needs to be fixed from the light up to Norris Preble. Some sidewalk repair and some curb repair. It's not a great big amount. A lot of sidewalks were overlaid last year, but there is quite a need to fix up some of those sidewalks down in front of the mill, from the bridge up to Pine Street. Those haven't been touched in years. Across the canal bridge on both sides of the road. Some of those probably gonna have to be rebuilt and dug out and get the concrete out of them. And I think all the other sidewalks are in fairly good shape.
All right, thank you very much. All right, fire department. Vehicle. Tom?
We have a 1995 tanker in Company 2 station that this year will be 30 years old. To replace that truck, probably $450,000 or more. We put another 100 grand away this year. And we have 50 put away. It's almost time to start building that truck. It'll be 2 years out at least, the time we get the okay to finish doing it.
And the SCBA's on the bottom, 25,000.
Our SCBA bottles, we have 42 bottles in both departments. In 2030, those run out. They're $3,000 a piece right now. Another 5 years, they're probably $4,000 a piece times 44. Do we need 44? We need 40 probably. If we don't get a grant, we got the grant prior to.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get another grant, but if we don't get the grant, we gotta be thinking ahead. This has gotta happen.
Basically, the 25 is put in the bank and hold on to it.
Right, and the next year add to it.
All right.
in 5 years, we'll be up around 100 and a half, and I think that'll be close, if we don't get the grant.
Let's see, fair municipal building, 100,000. Town manager?
So based on the meetings that we've been having with the building committee, which we have a building committee meeting Wednesday night, so we're gonna have to do something with either the budget meeting or the building committee meeting.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay. We want to set aside some money to get a fund started so that we can have some repairs and maintenance, because we really don't have a capital budget for any major repairs or maintenance at the town office. And so this is, I put that number out there. We can start smaller, we can go bigger. A lot is gonna depend on how everybody is thinking and feeling about what we need to do, but we've got work to do, and we've gotta set up a 3 to 5 year plan, or 5 to 10 year plan, and we gotta have money to do what we wanna do, what we need to do.
And I agree with you, because we just had some reevaluation done. And they've told us what we need to get done in this town.
Yeah.
So it would be, probably it's time to start setting something aside to address that. Because if we address it and do it, we get discounts for it.
Right.
I do know at the building committee meeting, we've talked about looking at redoing the electrical system in that building because it's ancient. Also, all the media, Wi-Fi, because it's outdated. That'll be costly.
And not to mention that we're still not ADA compliant.
Right.
I think that's gotta be in a 3 to 5 year plan, I would say.
But we have to seed that money somewhere.
Okay. When we get to that, we can have a good explanation. Capital cemeteries.
This year, we had 25,000 that we spent on, is it Kincaid Cemetery? And they did a really good job. They had a lot of stones that they had to fix and mend and put back together or whatever. And then they did a lot of cleaning on stones. But that was one cemetery out of 11. And we've got, and Heidi can probably speak to this better than I can. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
So as, well, most of you know, we have a new cemetery committee. And we meet once a month, and, we're kind of going over the deferred maintenance. And there are a lot of state mandated laws for the cemeteries that we kind of have not been following through. Like with veteran stones, if there's ever a veteran in a cemetery, no matter what war they were in, they can be in the Revolutionary War. If the stone's broken, or missing, or down, we can be fined $100 per stone if they ever come out and check us. So one of the biggest things that we're trying to focus on is the deferred maintenance and making sure our cemeteries are respected and brought back to where they need to be in order to pass on the heritage for years to come. Starting with Kincaid, which is Blackwell, we're kind of looking over towards Lakos, which is the Hayden, well, yeah, I was gonna say Hayden Cemetery, and the other one I think was Jewett that we were looking at. Just kind of looking to get some funds again, that basically to upkeep and do what we should have been doing all along. There's also, some fencing and things that we're looking into, because my understanding from the bylaws is that we have to fence in any cemetery that has a veteran in it, which a lot of the older cemeteries they don't have fences anymore. They're just kind of scrambled on the side of the road or missing altogether.
You're not suggesting fencing in Forest Hill, right?
Well, we we are looking into it. MOCA, I'm waiting on hearing back from MOCA to tell me if that's exactly what has to be done. I don't know if it has to be, if you go through any cemetery, when you go to the bigger ones, they're fenced in. They either have a shrubbery fence, or they have just wire and kind of cement or PVC pillars or wood pillars.
Got a gate.
Hmm?
Got a gate.
We got a gate. Well, I'm hoping that, but we do have the perpetual fund too, which really, that's what that's for, isn't it? Is to go towards that.
I don't know if that would be enough to take care of that right there, but
No, but we can look at it and see what we're facing.
Can
We
you
also
look at
have,
what you're, I'm sorry, Heidi, I was just curious, can you look at what it's growing? It's a perpetual fund. Does it grow interest over time?
it does, and usually I think what in the past, people have just been using the interest to kind of do things, small projects. I mean, I don't know, I mean, Kathy, you probably know better than I
we'll
do.
probably have to look into it.
We were just using the interest,
Yeah.
there's guidelines as to what you can use it.
Yeah, we'll have to look into those guidelines, I would say.
Yeah. And then our biggest thing too is we do have a section, 2 sections of road on the top of Forest Hill that need to be repaved. So that number for the 25,000 really needs to go up quite a bit to include the 2 roads to be repaved. I'm not sure if that's something that can be coinciding with any of the projects Jeff has, and they can zip over and do that too at the same time, I don't know.
I would think we can figure that out.
I think it's, well over 400 feet, right, is what Mike had said.
Yeah.
It says last 2, first 2, if you're coming up the hill past Thomas Street, first 2 to the left. Those roads, they're in bad shape.
So, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, I think we just have, you have to make a determination on what the committee would like to do and bring it to the board, and we can put it in. That won't fit into this 25,000.
no, that's why I'm saying that 25,000 needs to go up. Jeff, do you have any?
For paving,
Yeah, for like a 400-foot repaving, we start to
I'd
say.
have to go up and measure, I don't know the width on it. Yeah. 400 feet, I can't be right, it's all that. And we work with a contractor while they're right there in town doing some of our other roads. I have to get a number for, I have to figure it up tonight and get a number in the morning.
Yeah, no worries, it was just, yeah,
400 feet?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
All right, I'll go up and measure it in the morning.
I don't have my notes, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Take that.
Mike?
Mike? what's
Oh,
up?
Rickard, yeah. Okay. All right.
Anything else for capital?
We're gonna add the revaluation to capital
Yes.
and 25,000 for the library ramp to capital.
Okay, and then the bottom here, we have TIF allocation, which I believe is gonna be about the same as the 120.
Yep.
Okay, and then fund balance in '25, we did $500,000. We wanna wait and talk about that at a selectmen's meeting, and see what that can be with, based upon the information you have here, what you guys come up with. I think, so we can get an idea of what we can move forward.
So based on what the audited, the draft of the audit for '24, we have undesignated fund balance in the general fund of $1,549,000. And I think last year we were, I'd have to double check it, but I think we were at like 1.8 or 1.9 last year, and we did the 500,000, so I think at the very least, and Heidi and I can talk about that more, the very least we could do is 300.
All right, so moving forward, okay? I'm not gonna make a decision on that tonight.
Right.
Moving forward, what I'd like to see us do, what I would like to see happen, and the board can agree, or the board can tell me I'm out of whack, and move on. But, I would like to see us give the town manager a little bit of time, so I would like to not meet on Wednesday, and give the town manager some time to put some more parts into here. We have, going back to all the departments, we have the 0.5% that's gonna be put in there. We have in highway, what do we have to do there? We're gonna give them some numbers, correct?
Yeah, just for capital projects.
No, I thought there was something in the actual highway budget that
Yeah.
you were gonna.
Probably the crosswalk.
Crosswalk signs.
Crosswalk sign, yeah.
Crosswalk signs, you're gonna give them that. And then,
Oh, is the plow East Madison Fire Station.
yeah, gonna do that. So what I would like to do is give the town manager some time, because it's gonna take some time to come up with not only the total budget, but also the carry forward, and what her and Heidi, as I told them, I want them in a room, and they can come out of the room agreeing on what we should give, what we should put in as far as the undesignated fund. And then, so what we would do is we would move Wednesday's meeting to next Wednesday, the 26th, I believe it is that correct?
Yep.
26, and then we will look at the Monday after that to finish up if we have to.
Okay.
All right, try to get it next
Do you
Wednesday
want
if we
department
can.
heads at all of these meetings?
What's up?
Do you want department heads at all of these meetings a week from
Just when they're, I
Wednesday?
think we have a document that we've used in the past that shows what you're gonna, I guess we're gonna try to do them all, so let's try next Wednesday and we'll see where we go from there with all the department heads. And we can talk and move things forward. Does that make sense? I just don't see the office being able, dealing with everyday things, being able to get that all back on the sheet before Wednesday. I don't think it's realistic. What I would like to put to the agenda for Monday is, number one, the $2 raise for Julie, and the librarian, I should say, not Julie. So if you'd like to come to that one, Julie, we're gonna talk about you.
Won't be the first time.
Okay. We'll let you know though, Julie. And what else? Oh, I think can we talk about the undesignated fund on Monday?
We can.
Come up with a number for that so you can put it in there. So
And the
let's put that on
cemetery
agenda.
RFP.
Cemetery RFP, and what else? I have mine slipping, yeah.
Rental income for the tower.
My radio budget.
Oh, radio budget, yeah. Donnie's radio budget.
Yeah, I think we also put on there changing the rec director from hourly to salary.
Yep.
So we'll at least get a vote on that,
Okay.
all right?
Are we gonna discuss the RFP for the repower?
Yep, that's on my list, yes.
And the big thing ought to be getting this budget together, and whatever we get for
Yep.
Monday as part of the budget, we can get that.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Just trying to,
I do.
Who's that? That's Pete.
Peter?
Pete,
Hi.
what's
I
happening?
just have a couple questions, just so I understand it. The ICMA match, it's decreasing nearly 15%. I'm just wondering why.
Where,
Howard,
which one are you looking at?
back up at the top, under administration,
Yep.
personnel,
So it's going from 26,000 to 20,000?
yeah.
Yes, so if you take 332,000 and multiply it by 0.06, that's the maximum match that the town would be responsible for.
So it's decreased because because wages have gone down?
No, I think it was overestimated before.
Okay.
Let me just do the math again real quick.
Yes. Yeah,
See, I may have that backwards. Let
I
me just,
believe the
The previous
town manager might have gotten
more
more added to that.
because he didn't take insurance.
and I did that over on the code side. I did that to the code side, so, and I think there is at least one person in the office. I'll look at that.
All right, anything else, Pete?
Just one other question, unemployment is 0?
Yes,
We don't pay it.
we don't pay unemployment.
We don't pay it unless somebody
Goes up.
gets it, and then it is what it is. Doing the whole.
Fine.
So you don't pay unemployment?
We don't fund that.
She's the only one.
And Jeff,
We don't fund it, Pete.
Julie's.
Okay.
All right, so that's where it is.
Sometimes have to
All right,
pay
so
it.
I'll put
But
7,000
sometimes we do have to
back
pay,
there.
Pete.
Understood.
All right, anybody else, is that clear? Mrs. Town Manager?
I think that's good for tonight.
Okay. Anybody else, any comments? And we do have time, I mean, we're ahead of where we were last year. For time, we got a kind of a late start on it last year. So we are in good shape, the shape we're in.
Round as a shape.
You can see now.
No, I was talking about myself.
Okay, all right. We're gonna do selectmen's concerns, anybody, a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All right, motion and second to adjourn, all those in favor? All in favor, motion carries. Just a reminder, we need 8 people for the advisory board
On the 26th.
on the 26th.
Yeah.
All right? Adjourned. 7:32.